Hey everyone, welcome on into ClayShare for the afternoon session. I'm Jessica Putnam-Phillips. I am so excited. We have a special guest for you. He is one of our ClayShare family. He is an amazing man and fabulous potter, and he was just recently on the great Pottery Throwdown. So if you are watching, you are familiar with Mr. Lee Pollard. He's going to be joining us here for a chat session. We're going to talk about his experiences on the show and what he's up to now and ClayShare and how being part of the ClayShare family has influenced his work and, what's he doing with his life. So we're excited he took the time to sit down with us, and it's live, mind you. This is live right now if you're watching, and I'm excited. So let's not wait. Let's get right to Lee because I know you have questions. If you do, just type them in and I'll ask them of Lee. And here we go. All right. Hey, Lee.
Hi, Jess. You okay?
Hey, so good to have you here. And you did so good on the show. I was rooting for you. I don't want to give anything away because I know some folks haven't watched it, but I was watching you. I was like, everything you did so good. You did so good. I don't think you did ever anything wrong. Like, I feel like sometimes things happen. Sometimes things happen in the firing that you can't control. And I feel that things would have been differently if it had been a nice long preheat and a slow fire.
It was fun, for sure. Anyway, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, I could tell you all were having so much fun, and I just loved seeing a group of people coming together, supporting each other, and making pottery. And it comes across, and I think people might watch the show and think, well, potters aren't really like that, but they are. Like that's how potters are. We treat each other like family. Really care about each other. And yeah.
Everyone just, like is so helpful to each other. And, but, before the show, ClayShare was my only pottery community, actually. So, I appreciated the fact that I was in that whole community there. But I think nothing sort of can replace being in a communal group with potters. I mean, we all lived together and shared the experience for the time that I was there. And it was just such a creative sort of environment. And, it was great to chat to everyone and get to know them. And we're all really good friends still now. We've got a WhatsApp group and it's always pinging off all the time. Everyone's chatting to each other and showing each other what we're doing. And, it's really an exciting time for everybody. So, yeah, I'm really chuffed for everyone. Everyone's doing really well and getting what they want out of it, taking it where they want to take it. So, and that wouldn't have happened if it hadn't have been for the show. So, yeah, so it was great.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess, do you want me to kind of like say what happened, or
I mean, you can, if you want to talk, it's whatever you want to talk about. I've got some questions. Some folks were saying they loved your pieces, they loved the show, and they said it was great watching you. And some folks are tuning in from Ireland, so fantastic. We've got people over there. And let's see, 2 questions for you. Did you get to keep the pottery you made on the show?
Well, we can, but we don't get it back until the next show airs. It's a year later. So no doubt Sally and I will display it in the studio we have now. So we've got a studio and a gallery here in Cornwall. So, it's just an ever-changing process as with yourselves, so it's growing at an exponential rate and, we're really enjoying it. So we're providing classes and the gallery displays our work besides what we sell online as well. So so that work will come we'll probably display it in the gallery where the public can go. This is the studio area where
you should tell everybody what's happening. So some of you know that Lee was on the show, and then after the show, I mean, you weren't a full-time potter before.
No, I was a full-time nurse. Yeah.
Right. And so catch everybody up. What happened after the show?
Yeah. So basically, I was a full-time nurse. I always wanted to try pottery, and I could never do it in a conventional way because I worked shift patterns and I couldn't join a class because every week I couldn't provide the same day off to go and do the class. So it was quite frustrating, actually. So I put word out on Facebook, sort of, and a friend got in touch with me, and I basically asked if anyone knew a potter that would let me have a go on the wheel, because that was what I was most interested in. So a friend of mine reached out and she said, "Oh, my friend's a potter. He's been a potter since the 70s, and he's in just a community studio over in a little town called Todmorden, which was only half an hour away from me." So she gave me his number, and I chatted to John, and and he basically said, "Yeah, come down, you can have a go on my wheel, see how you like it." So I was so excited. It was literally the next day. And luckily he was available, and he basically showed me how to throw a cylinder. And then he was like, "And wedge clay. Now that you can wedge clay, there's all of that reclaimed clay there. Do what you want with it and just go for it." So, and that was it. Was off. So I went back. I made 5 little balls, and I've still got them. They are horrendous, but they were my first ones, and I treasure them. They are probably the most treasured item in my apartment. And and then he was like, "Right, come back next week. You can trim them." So I got back the following week, and they were bone dry. So there was no going on at all. I tried, and that awful squeak was going on. I was like, "No, this isn't happening." So and then it was kind of like, "Right, well, we've bypassed the trimming stage. We'll just fire them." So we fired them, and I went back the following week, and I glazed them with his glazes that he used, and that was it. I got the bug, and I was like, "Well, you've got the kiln, and I can't be coming over here all the time. What if I bought a wheel and then brought the greenware over?" So that's what I did then for a couple of months. I had a kick wheel. It was a standing kick wheel, so it was quite tricky. And I thought, well, if I can throw pots on this, I can do it on anything.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. So I was like kicking and going for it, couldn't get very high. Yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it.
That's crazy.
It was great. And then, and so I took my pieces over to him, and they got fired, and I learned how to glaze them. And they all ended up as presents, whether people wanted them or not, I don't know. But
I love that.
Yeah. So, and that was it then. So my journey continued. I bought my own kiln eventually, just a second-hand one, that I could plug in. And a cheap electric wheel, and then 3 years later applied for the Throwdown. So I'd wanted to do it the year before, and I really wasn't very good at hand building at the time. I was mostly wheel throwing, and that's when I joined your classes and developed the sort of the hand building techniques that you teach and what I used on the show. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I know it's crazy to think that, but the basic hand building techniques, they're all the foundations, right? So once you know those, you can do anything, which you did. I mean, you made Dolly Parton.
Oh, well, I don't think you taught me how to do that. I went a bit freeform with that one, didn't I?
Yeah, but yeah. And I have to say, it's not, I think it wasn't entirely fair. I don't know. Their firing schedules are a little crazy compared to what they're drying and firing. It's a little harsh.
I don't, the thing was, I'm a hobby potter, and the show was for people that were hobby potters. Nobody was making a career out of this, and it was all just a lot of fun. We had such an amazing time. We got our briefs about a week before each episode, and so we had the opportunity to practice what we were going to make. But as the weeks went on, we were all living together, and we had an 8-hour slot of practice time in between each show. So the 8 hours, you could choose to use them as you wanted, whether you wanted to hand build or wheel throw, prepare for the next challenge or the one after, if you were comfortable with that one. So, and obviously we spent a lot of our own time developing the ideas for the different shows. and we all were given the same brief. But what I found amazing was everyone's take on the same brief was so different. It was amazing, you know.
Yeah, it's just, potters are puzzle solvers. We're very creative. We're given a challenge, whatever that may be, and we approach it all differently because our minds all work in different ways. And I think it's fabulous to see how, we all take these different routes, but end up kind of at the same place. So
yeah,
it is pretty fabulous. So you, the show was amazing. You did some amazing pottery, you met some amazing potters on the show and got to work with some great people. And then after the show ended, what happened?
So I went from the show where I went out of the show. I won't give that one away, but
We'll just say the show ended because we don't want anybody to know if you haven't seen it.
And I went back to my lonely little studio in my basement and I cried. So I was like, oh my God, this is what I'd been missing all of this time, this community, like that I could just spend all my time with. So I'll just give you a little bit of history with regards to Sally, because it was absolute fate that I met this woman. When I was on holiday down here, it's about 7 hours away from where I live, is Cornwall, where I'm from. I came down here on holiday about 8 years ago, and I saw a beautiful vase on a stall in a little port called Porthleven, and gravitated to this pot and just was fascinated with how it was made and everything. It was a raku, naked raku, part turquoise vase, which she's quite famous for. And I didn't know who it was. Bought this vase, and it had been sitting on my mantelpiece all that time. And I just kept looking at it thinking, how the hell was that made? I just couldn't work out how it was done. But it was like part of my journey into like wanting to create something like that. So forward wind to when I applied to the show, and it was all Zoom like this. It was like a Zoom interview because of COVID. They went from 2,500 applicants down to 100 or so for the final interviews, and they divided us into groups of 5. And there was myself, Sally, and Henry all in the last group, or nearly the last group. And so, like, she was chatting about where she was from, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love Cornwall!" So I think probably why they chose us, because we all got on so well. So like she was in my final, and then when I went over to stay at the place where we stayed in Stoke, she turned up and Henry turned up, and I was so happy, because obviously we'd had the interview together. And yeah, so we were sat on the couch in this place where we were staying, and she was saying, "Do you have a website?" Sort of. I was like, "I don't do anything like that. I'm a total hobby potter. It's just a hobby to me." So she showed me her website, and she was flicking through the pictures of her pots, and I was like, "That's my pot." I was like, sat on a couch on the Throwdown, looking at the pot that inspired me to be there in the first place with the person, and now I'm sat in a studio where we share the space, and it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yes. So
big world. The pottery community down here is a big world, and I wasn't part of it really either. So strange.
But you found it. So you and Sally decided to work together, and you got the studio together there in Cornwall now. So
Sally had approached the farm. We're actually on a place called Roskilly's Farm, which is famous for ice cream, and you can get it all over the UK, and they sell it abroad as well. And they had a couple of spare buildings, which Sally approached them about. Well, they actually approached the Potters Guild that she was with about using a space for a studio, for a gallery, which they took on, and then this place became available. So Sally approached them about doing a studio here. And then while we were on the show, she said, what were you thinking of doing? Do you fancy coming down? Because we got on so well. And I'm a nurse. I've got a job, a dog, a house. I've totally sold up, moved me and the dog down here, and this is me now. So yeah.
You just packed up your whole life, quit your full-time job, everything, your security, everything you've known your whole career.
Yeah.
Pack up your dog, you, and new life, new start. Just see what happens. Gonna go make pots.
Yeah. So I totally sympathize with packing the house and my studio took 3 weeks to pack up. Oh, my goodness. I could not believe how much I'd actually collected over the years, like, you know, like where it's like with all the different tools and the glazes and the buckets full of glaze I had. I've thrown so much away because I couldn't bring it all, you know. But yeah, good luck with that.
I know, I haven't moved my glazes yet. So people want to know, now you're situated there. Can they come see the studio? Can they buy your pottery? Can they buy it online? Can they buy it there? Where can they get it?
So here at Roskilly's farm, we've got a place called the Bowdy Gallery, and that is a space where we showcase three-dimensional work. So like we have a few artists there, including myself and Sally. There's some of Adam's things in there as well, and I believe a couple of the other Throwdown potters are sending some work to put in there, which is nice. Our studio is not a public area, but we have some windows here, so it's like being in a goldfish bowl. Everybody looks at it all the time.
Because the farm is open for tourists to visit. Yeah,
it's very much a tourist place, is this. So, you know, it's on the Lizard Peninsula in Cornwall, if anyone knows of the area. And it's just a beautiful part of the world. Just opening the doors, I can hear the birds singing.
I can hear the birds from here.
Ridiculous. Honestly, I keep pinching myself. It's the most beautiful place. So Sally and I, we do classes. We do mostly raku. But if you go on tullyceramics.co.uk, our classes are on there. We're working on what we're going to be doing next year, early part of the year. So February, March, April, there'll probably be quite a lot of one-day classes that people can get involved with, including raku, hand build and throwing as well. So if you want to buy the work, it's through there or on our website. So Sally Tully's on sallytullyceramics.co.uk, and I'm the Nook Pottery. So it's the nookpottery.bigcartel.com. So mine's more of a shop than a website. So if you want to know anything or you want to ask me anything, just email me and you can get the details through there. So I've had so much support from ClayShare members, and I just want to say thank you so much, because what a community this is. It's so supportive, you know, and, you know, whenever I've had chance to come into the live at Fives, everyone says hello, and it's just so lovely. And yourself, obviously, it's just such a nice environment and supportive community. So
we love that you're part of our ClayShare family. You know, you make me so proud. I was crying watching the show because you were doing so well. And it was just, did you have a favorite thing you made on the show?
Oh, the first one, the bees. I'm a beekeeper.
Yes, we have some people asking about the bees. So
yeah. So currently I don't have bees, but farm is it's an organic farm, and they've got orchards and things. So I keep pushing the farm out. You know, you could do with a few hives here. So I think I'm winning, so I might end up getting a couple. So I can talk to the bees again.
That would be lovely.
Tell the bees your news, and they spread it throughout the land. So
that's great.
I love beekeeping. So that was the connection to me. It came when they gave you a brief. They always said it's got to be something about you and your life and how it, you know, like something about you. And instantly when they sent that brief, I was like, I'm doing bees straight away, because it was just a perfect beehive shape for a cheese dome. You know, like a queen bee sat on top, looking, you know, like. And the honey pots or the jars that I did with the bumpy sides, and you know, it just borrowed itself to that so easily, you know. Yeah. It was a funny thing though. The clay, I didn't get the clay that they wanted us to use until very late, so I never got a chance to practice with it. So my clay is quite stiff, So when I got on the show, it was like jelly. I was like, oh my God, I'm eat this pot up. So I made 3 beehives because I kept thinking it's too small, make a bigger one. And then it just like, it was so difficult. I wish I'd had a chance to practice with it because I'd have known then, so just sort of what clay it was. But I got there in the end. It was all right. It was very high jeopardy. It was very stressful, but I just kept having to check in with myself and say, this is a show. It's fun. Just crack on and you'll get there. And everyone was so helpful at the end of that challenge. It really spoke volumes because I literally had 2 minutes to glaze everything, and I'd waxed the base of everything that I needed to, but I was still painting bees in the last 2 minutes. So Sally and Adam were like, "Can we help?" And I was like, "Just chuck those in the clear." So they were like dipping it.
Right.
I wiped the bottoms and then it was done. But yeah, it was so lovely.
I did notice how supportive everybody was in the show, when anyone would be finishing as close to the end. And if somebody's done and someone else isn't finished, how everybody would go over and help each other, and it doesn't matter that by helping somebody else, it might affect your piece because their piece might end up looking better, but that doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's about helping each other and being a community and supporting each other. And so I love seeing that on the camera so that people out there realize that this is really what pottery is about. It's about making, but it's also about the communities we form as potters. And I love seeing that. That was that filled my heart with joy. I was so happy because I think the world needs to know more about pottery, and it's not just I made a mug or something. It's everything else that comes along with it.
Yeah, and I think this season more so because it's been shared a lot broader. So a lot more people have had a chance to see it as well. And that's only going to do the pottery community good, isn't it? Like, so many more people will want to have a go at it. We have done some classes already, and I've never taught pottery. I've taught quite a lot as a nurse with, being a mentor for students and things. And it's very strange to sort of, it's a transferable skill, I guess, but just the joy in people's faces when you've shown them how to do something and they've come away with these awesome pots. We made all the pots this weekend. Wow, the work is so good. I could show you, but I dare do it because I've not had permission from the people that made them, but they are.
So are those all the pots behind you from the people?
These are all Sally's. These are all
those
mine.
Are all Sally's. Those are yours.
In session, we're going to have a barbecue on Thursday, and we're doing a pit fire just for us because my friends are down to stay as well. So I'm making them some pots, and we're going to get all the combustibles out and throw some local seaweed on there, and like banana peels and everything else that you put on a pit fire, and get them in there, and then have a barbecue and maybe a wine or two or a cider. Like, I'm a cider drinker now. I'm down in Cornwall. It's where they make the best cider. So
I'm a cider girl myself. We had a few people asking that if they come over there, could we get a tour together of Cornwall? And they want to do a pole dark tour your studio and do a pole dark tour. I don't know about that.
Pole dark in a lot of local places, to be honest. Yeah, if you like pole dark, I never watched it, but it was very popular here. There was quite a very attractive there, I think, that people liked. So,
I heard that. So some folks are asking, how was it to work with Keith? How was he?
Keith was lovely. He was just as emotional as you saw.
He does. He seems like a great big teddy bear. He just.
Every week I tried to make that man cry and I couldn't.
You couldn't get.
No, yeah, he cried the day I was like, now you doing it?
Now you cry? Yeah.
Connected to the story, and if you can very much, if you overcome adversity, if you're finding something a challenge and you've done it, you've got at the end where you needed to be, that was the connection he loved. And that's what his connection to the person and the pottery and the challenge that it encompassed was where his emotions come from.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Nice guy. Rich was my favorite. He was the loveliest, just amazing, and he gave the best constructive criticism. You know, like what you saw on the show, we were stood in front of those guys for half an hour every time, and they were telling us what they liked, what they didn't like, what we could have done better. You know, like there was a lot of to and fro, and he told us in the loveliest way. And he's so professional, and he's so experienced. What he doesn't know about clay, and you know, he owns a tile company, does Rich. You know, he's just amazing, sort of font of knowledge, and you know, like all the jobs he used to do, Ricky the Bricky, and all of the lovely. I really liked Rich. I really liked him. He was part of the process as well. He kept popping up, and I was a bit girling about him because I'd watched the show from the beginning, and he was the technician doing all the firing at the time for the first couple. So so nice.
I love that though. I love hearing that when you're a teacher and you're, even on the show, they're still your teachers, even though it's a contest, they're still guiding you. They're your teachers. And so I love it when I hear that teachers give constructive, positive, encouraging criticism, not negative breaking down criticism, because that never helps anybody. And I love seeing that, lifting each other up and helping each other. And that's the best.
It was very much that. That was what it was all about, really. So it was just a grand experience, such a nice thing to do. And I wish I could just say, well done, whoever won, sort of thing. But everyone won, to be fair. Everyone had a great experience. Everybody, has done well since then. And we're all good friends, and we're all just, we all have made something for each other and sent it to each other as well. A couple of people are still doing that, but, sort of like before Christmas, because the show for us, the show was over in the end of October. We finished filming. So from that point, we were like, right, challenge number 11, what we're going to do. So we did a little challenge and sent each other a gift. Some people obviously were really busy going back to the normal lives. And, but most of us have sort of made something and sent a piece to each other. I want Hannah's fruit bowl. She still hasn't sent one, but I'm harassed about it because I thought that was the best piece of the whole thing. Loved that.
Yeah, that was a gorgeous piece. Yeah, there was a lot of amazing pieces being made, and the fact that you all were hobby potters, that's what they picked the pool from. You guys aren't professionals. You cannot be to be on the show. So it was just fantastic to see these creations come out and how creative everybody was with their interpretations and all the different surface decoration techniques and all the skills everybody had and pulling them all together. And that was really, I think, for anybody making pottery, and even if you don't make pottery, it's still a great show to watch. I put on an episode last night, show my mom, because she hadn't watched any, and she's not a potter. I mean, she's seen me make pots, but I'm her daughter. It's not very interesting, but she was right into the show, and we were watching the raccoon one.
Yeah.
So I'm
pots as well. Family get on.
So now you're living the dream, Lee. You're living the dream.
Yeah,
I love that.
Where I'm a bit worried because I'm kind of chasing my tail here because selling the house and getting down here took so long and it was so time consuming. We've got other shows that we're going to, like the ceramics festivals here. We're going to a few. We're going to be at Pottery and celebrating ceramics. And I haven't got anything ready yet. I need to get.
When is that? How much time do you have?
The middle of next month. So yeah, I've got a big kiln now.
Get cracking. I see it.
So, and I'm firing a lot of raku. I'm loving the raku right now. And for me, because I'm such a junior potter, to be fair, in the world of ceramics, I've been doing it 3.5 years now. I feel like I'm very junior in the whole gig. I've got a lot to learn still. And one of the things, if you ever do go to a pottery festival, you look around and people have got their acts together, haven't they? They've got a style and they've got like a whole sort of cohesive body of work that just looks amazing together. I just do everything. When I came down here with my work to put in the gallery, I was like, it's a good job I can put things in different places because nothing goes together. And it's just because I'm so like into it. I just go from one thing to another. Right, I've tried that. I'm going to try that now. What about this glaze? What about that thing? You know, so, and that's what you do, isn't it, when you're learning? You just try everything. So now I need to home in, and Sally's actually helping me do that because she's the raku queen here. So I'm doing a lot of raku techniques and things with her, and it's really paying off. I've got some lovely things on my site and what I'm making for the shows as well. I'm really happy with it.
That's what I was going to ask you next. How much Sally has influenced your work? She's now your mentor, really.
She would say not, because she likes to think that we're of an equal standing. But I'm looking at Sally's work. I'm sat here and I'm watching her throw pots and I'm learning from it. She doesn't know it, but I'm like
taking notes.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, burnishing, oh my goodness, that is a pain, isn't it? I don't know if you've ever done it, but oh my goodness, burnishing pots is a nightmare, and she does it so well. She's got a million pots in her head. She can sit at a wheel. She can sit for 2 hours and throw all those different shapes. And she knows exactly how they're going to be glazed. She knows what texture she's going to put on them. She's going to know about the balance of them. She's great. Even though she doesn't realize it, I am learning a lot. So
that's so great. That's good that you have her there as your support, as your mentor, even if she doesn't want to be or know she is.
And chat. I've got my wheel is literally here, hers is there, and we just sit, throw pots and chat. It's it's a different. I've gone from a full-time job, which was quite stressful, and it was unsociable because I worked nights as well. And I've come to a beautiful place. I'm throwing pots all day, or I'm organising a studio, which is my jam. I absolutely love it. The Virgo is coming out. It never had before. Now, put that in the wrong place. It should go over there. And then during the class this weekend, she was like, well, I'd show you where the burnishing stones were if I knew where they'd been put. And I was like, well, learn how to have a tidy studio, Sally. They're right there.
She's got you to keep it tidy.
And the firing as well. I love to fill the kilns and sort of unload the work. When it's students' work, it's quite nerve-wracking. They made some big things. We had a 3-day class and they built these massive bird houses. And I wasn't here at the time, but then when I arrived, all of these birdhouses were sat on the side in greenware stage, and they were very intricate. And I had to get them into the bottom of this massive kiln. And I was like, oh my God, it was quite scary. But, it's a learning curve. Curve.
Yeah. So do you miss nursing?
I will be nursing. Come the winter time, it's very tourist orientated here, and we're doing classes for, I think it'll be mostly local people that want to do them over the winter time and February, March. So in the quieter times, I will still be nursing. There's a local hospital. I do not want to stop that because it's something that I've been doing for 22 years now. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I miss my nursing family that I used to work with so much. They're just lovely people. But, I'll be making new nursing friends when I eventually go and work there. But it'll just be on a bank basis, so I'll just go whenever I'm needed or whenever I want to pick up a shift. So, but yeah, I'd really want to keep my hand in. At the minute, my dog's getting settled in. I don't want to leave her. She can stay in the studio here with us. So it's great. She's a rescue and she's a bit anxious. So, it's nice not to leave her at the minute. But she'll always be here with Sally anyway when I do it.
Yeah, that's true. She won't be alone.
Yeah.
So it looks like your studio's big and airy, lots of space, good light in there.
Yeah.
And it seems like a great environment for creating. I'm super excited to see what you're going to make in the future. Coming down the line, it's been a joy watching you on the show and seeing how you've progressed. You first saw somebody making pottery, wanted to try it, went ahead and took a lesson, right? And then that's it. Once that happened, that was it. Kind of like bit you with the bug, and you took it. And you didn't just do a little bit; you took it and ran with it. And look at where you are. You've been doing this 3 years, and here you are now.
I was obsessed.
Yeah,
it was. Every spare bit of time I was in the studio doing something, sort of. I never stopped really. I was a little bit worried because I was self-taught. And I'd literally just been shown how to throw that cylinder. I was a bit concerned when I got there that, I'd be throwing these big pots and Keith and Rich would be coming over and going, what are you doing? But no right or wrong answer, is there, with pottery, which is great. You can, if you get from A to B, then it's fine. However you did it, you got there, I know there are a lot of technical shortcuts and things and ways that you can make life easy for yourself. And I don't think I actually have, but I can get from A to B just through learning online with yourselves and watching YouTube videos. I watched your videos on YouTube before you even did any of this.
Yeah, you found me before ClayShare.
I did. Not in the early times when you were talking about platform that's gone now. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, Periscope. So even before I had ClayShare, before when it was just me on YouTube or me on Periscope.
You on that one? I don't even know what that is actually.
No, you weren't. It's gone now. Yeah, it was a Twitter thing. We don't worry about that anymore. But when there's a will, there's a way, right? So you wanted to learn and you went looking and you found an online clay community, which eventually turned into your in-person clay community. And you still have all of us online and everything, but it's just really great that you found that. And I love the story of your journey. It just fills me with such joy and happiness. And if folks want to find you, the Nook Pottery.
Pottery on Instagram. It's Lee Pollard, and I've got a page attached to that on Facebook called The Nook Pottery. And my website is thenookpottery.bigcartel.com. And if anyone's interested in a class, you can go through sallytullyceramics.co.uk. So that'll tell you a bit more about us both and the studio and things as well.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do a ClayShare tour. We'll have to all go over to Cornwall next summer. We'll all come visit.
You can all cram in.
We will. Well, when
I moved here, my apartment is not even a stone's throw. It's 5 paces from here. I live there, which is great. So I can just fall out of bed.
Oh my gosh!
8 pots. I'm here till like at night, 12 at night. Some nights, just creating and then just falling into bed again. So it's such a lovely environment. I love it. I've really landed on my feet.
I'm so happy for you. I am so proud of you. You've done amazing things.
Thank you. And thank you guys as well, because I couldn't have done it without you, obviously.
Well, thank you for being part of ClayShare. And, you just keep going. You can do anything you want. This. You don't need me telling you, that. So.
It's just a journey, isn't it? Pottery is a journey, and you one thing to another, and your tastes change, you find new directions, and life takes you in other ways, and then that changes what you're doing again. And but right now I'm loving what I'm doing, so it's all good.
That's the best. It's such the best. Well, thank you for sharing some time with us out of your schedule. I know you have friends down, so they're there on vacation, and
Starving. It's 10 to 8 now. We've not had
I-
our dinner yet. It's in the evening. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll have poured me a glass of cider and it'll be ready.
Well, thank you for joining us. Go get your glass of cider. I'm going to scooch over to here. So everybody, if you're not following Lee yet, he's amazing. If you haven't watched the Great Pottery Throwdown, you can watch it here in the US on HBO Max. You can download the app and watch it and stream it. I was doing that yesterday, like I said, with my mom, and you all can do that. But follow Lee, the Nook Pottery. He's on Instagram and the nookpottery.bigcartel.uk. I get it? .com, bigcartel.com. But we'll post all this. We'll write this all out and put it up because we want to get it correct. All right, everybody, thank you for hanging out here with me and Lee. Again, a huge thank you to Lee for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. And we'll be back at 3 o'clock, so in just 15 minutes